Welcome to the Arrow Panel, episode 10. I am your stand-in host, Jeff Funga Lloyd, and with me I have...
Blue Chaos, Dalton.
And that's it, because we only have two people today. Roger and James are both not with us, unfortunately, but they're still around. And so we are going to talk a lot about things that they wouldn't want us to talk about. Just kidding. We're going to just talk about DDR, which is what we always do.
And other dance games.
And other dance games, maybe. We'll see where the night leads us.
We're just going to wing it.
Yeah.
It's just a casual conversation between two bros.
Yeah, this is a very intimate setting right now. It's just in my basement, though. Anyway, let's start off by talking about some news, because something really cool happened this week, where we talked a lot last week about the Australia getting cabs and the Philippines getting cabs and all the new shipments of the Uniana cabs in America. But we actually got word this week about Europe getting ACE. So basically how it went was there's a show called like the August Coin Op show or something in somewhere in Europe, I think in the UK, right? Maybe. Oh, we should have looked that up. We didn't.
Well, the guy from there was a location test, so we should preface this by saying that about a year ago...
Year-ish, yeah.
Yeah, there was a location test for DDR Ace at Las Vegas
Soho
Arcade in
London, which is the most confusing.
There's like 3 different city names there, but and it was there for...
It was there for like 2 months?
Yeah, a couple months. I don't know that it really got that much play.
Yeah, I think it was like £2 to play or something, which is kind of pricey.
That's right. There were a lot of issues with the pricing of it It
was also interesting because I think the cabinet was a DDR-X location test cabinet that was upgraded to ACE, but it was the version, it was like not the X cabs like we've had in America, but it was the version they location tested with, which in America like had the light spires on the sides, like the real Japanese cabs, but they don't have them. Like they didn't have them in London. Mm-hmm. Like, so it was like this weird like prototype machine type thing. And they just like threw ACE on it and said it's a location test for a new game. But I guess it did well enough that Electrocoin, which is one of the European distributors, they are going to be selling it. So they had like tweets and whatever of them like a mystery game that looked strangely like DDR. It's like, ooh, what could it be? Could it be Step Maniacs? No, it's DDR. So that's really, really good news. The slightly bad news is the price tag.
Yeah.
So it is £15,000.
Which converted to USD is pretty close to 20 grand.
It's just under 20 grand. And the monthly EMU's fee is £200. Which is like $260 or something.
Yeah, it's about $275 or so. So we kind of did some math on this, trying to figure out, like, even to cover the price of the EMUs, I mean, it would take, like, pretty current play, or, like, constant play.
Yeah, I mean, like, you think about the fact that the servers, let's round up and say $300 a month. So 30 days in a month, it's got to make $10 a day, which for a cab in a popular area or something, I don't doubt that that's possible.
But that's just to cover the cost of the EMUs. Yeah, that's not even getting to the point of paying off the 20 grand price tag.
Right, yeah. But just, so we're like being generous and saying like, okay, $10 a day, like you can probably do that. But even if you do just hit that, you're not anywhere close to paying off the cab. And so it's really, really neat that the idea is there that local arcades in Europe can buy ACE. But the question is, like, will they see any appearance in, like, non-cities? At least in the US, it kind of has been the case that, like, you don't have to live in a huge city to have a couple arcades near you, and they, usually had an extreme cab or something. So now if you want to, like, play ACE, are you limited to being in, like, a London or a Stockholm or something like that, where there's really there's enough people to justify the giant price tag. This is like much more expensive than I think a lot of arcade distributors were hoping, or a lot of arcades were hoping for.
Mm-hmm. So you think Electrocoin had to buy an order of 50 machines?
Yes.
So they likely have 50 machines that could get spread out all throughout Europe potentially.
Yeah. It's just where within Europe are people actually going to be like, okay, I'm going to double down on this, like, and pay the $20K upfront plus the $275 a month or whatever. Like that's a big deal to not know if it like is DDR even
a thing anymore.
Like a thing. Yeah, like I can imagine if I was an arcade operator, I wouldn't actually like have that much confidence in a game that's been out for like 20 years now.
And how do you think that price tag compares to the new pump cabs? So are they the LX, the new white ones? Do you happen to know?
They're called LX, right? I think. Yeah. I mean, the price tag on that is like, I think it's still under 15.
Yeah.
And there's no monthly fee.
Yeah.
So it starts like, at least it starts paying itself off right away.
Mm-hmm. It'll be sort of interesting to see how long it takes them to start popping up. Yeah.
I mean, considering they like announced it and stuff, I think they were probably taking orders at that convention. It's how long it'll take for them to actually like send them out. Might be a few months. Like I would hope that like, we see a cab or two before the new year, but it'll probably take a little while.
Or I mean, who knows? A new version of DDR may be announced by then anyway.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm thinking KAC is going to be when they announce the next version. I thought it was going to be at this past KAC that they would announce something, but because it's very rare for them to have gone 2 years without a new mix. Usually it's like a year and a half. Like it looks like 2 years sometimes, like X3 in 2011, 2013 and 2013, but it was like late 2011 versus early 2013. So it's like a year and a half usually.
Yeah.
And we're about at a year and a half of Ace.
Yep.
So not of a year and a half of America having Ace, but like maybe they're just working out the logistics. Like they're trying to like make it a worldwide thing. And so they have to sort of like sell the same product or have the same like they don't want to change too much of like the software and like the new songs and stuff while they're also trying to like deliver this product into new markets. Like that's my best guess as to why it's taking a while.
So I think that does it for news, just about.
Yeah, we don't really have anything else.
There's no new songs in the past week.
That's the glory of the once a week tap is that we don't have as much news to talk about and we can actually talk about other things.
Yes.
So
what have you been working on lately?
Nothing. I've been playing. I've actually been playing a little bit of ITG lately. Motivation to go to the arcade has been at an all-time low.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Well, I was very happy that I won Irvine a couple months ago, the tournament in SoCal. And so like that was kind of like, okay, like I was stressing out a lot about that, and winning it was just like, okay, I can sort of like do other things, turn off a little bit. Like I was changing jobs, and so I've just kind of been in like a rut of like, oh, I'm just going to do other things besides playing DDR, and I haven't actually gotten out of that. So
I think that happens to everybody though.
Yeah, this is the longest it's happened to me. Like sometimes I like I remember last year. So right now I have an Ace cab that's like 10 minutes away from me. But last year, me and Dalton here were basically driving down to San Jose to the round one there, which in rush hour traffic took like
at least an hour.
Yeah, at least an hour, usually like an hour 20.
Yeah.
And we were doing this like 3 or 4 times. Like it was like me and Dalton were going like twice a week at night, like after work. And so that would take an hour and 20 minutes there. And then like
we'd leave the arcade at like 1:30 in the morning.
And then drive like 45 minutes back home.
Yeah, because it was when Ace is new. So we were still like super hyped up about it. Yeah. And so we were like, usually I think Tuesdays and Thursdays we would go like every week. And sometimes on weekends.
Yeah, I used to wake up early and then drive down to get there at opening on either Saturday or Sunday or both.
Yeah.
So I was going like 3 to 4 times a week consistently for like a couple months. And at a certain point, I was just burned out. Like I could not go anymore.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm sick of the drive. I'm sick of the lines. Like I was going more out of obligation than anything else.
Yeah. And like to get down there and then there's like a huge line. There's
it was just the most frustrating thing.
Yeah. Or, any other issues or whatever, or you're just having an off night.
Yeah.
Which, it just like happens.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I don't want to drive like an hour, an hour back. And so we'd be getting home at like 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. I had to shower and stuff. Like it was not sustainable at all. And so I got really burnt out, and that like, it's not the same right now. Like I don't feel burnt out from DDR. It's just like, there's also a lot of other things that I want to do. I play pinball a lot now. I like getting good at pinball. I also like shouts to Ninjafar because he's really been motivating me with like the harder side of In the Groove. Like I do remember a time when I was good at DragonForce songs and In the Groove, and right now it's like it's a struggle to get through them, and I would really like to be at a at a certain form where that stuff's easy for me again.
Mm-hmm. I just saw a video on my Facebook, like on this day thing, where it reminds you of stuff from your embarrassing past. It was a video of me playing one of the
Heroes of Our Time,
Heroes of Our Time, yeah.
It's a great song.
Yeah, from 2009, I guess. So 8 years ago of me, and I got like an 84 on it or something. It's like a 14. And I'm like, I wonder if it's been 8 years. Like, I wonder if I could do that, if I could still pass it, or if I'd do better. So, I don't know. We're going to play ITG after recording here, and so we're going to see if I can do that, maybe.
Yeah, I actually really want to play Heroes of Our Time tonight. That was one of the things. I tried to play, I played EPM, and then right after Reasons to Live, so 14 and then 13, and I tried to, pick something else. I was just absolutely not. This is not happening. I was destroyed after 2, hard songs.
Yeah.
And I used to just be at the arcade playing, Beyond Abilities and... Through the Fire and Flames, just all the Bone Crusher and just everything for hours. And
I wonder how much of that is not necessarily ability, but just getting older. Maybe we just don't have as much energy.
I think, a lot of it for me is a mental thing. I'm sure a lot of people could resonate with this. And, you and me, Dalton, have talked about this off stream, but having been good at something and then taking a break for so long and then coming back, it's it can be really demotivating when you're I used to be able to do this no problem.
Yeah.
We're running a little bit lately.
Yeah, we talked about this when we signed up for a 10K race in, oh God.
Too soon.
Yeah, in 2 weeks, basically.
A week and a half, yeah.
A week and a half, oh no.
Yeah.
And so we started running, and I used to run cross country in high school, and I used to be able to run 6-minute miles like nothing. And, we started running to train for this. And, I'm getting winded doing a 9-minute mile, basically, for a very short period of time. And so it's just really demotivating to go back to something that you used to be really good at. And you feel I know I'm better than this. It just doesn't. It's very hard to get over that initial hump of getting back into it. Yeah. So I think that's kind of probably where you're at with, these stamina ITG songs.
Yeah. And I think it's really, I think it speaks a lot to, I've heard this from other people when they play Ace, because for so many people, there was a huge break between the extreme heyday or even playing in Supernova era and then coming back to it so much later. All of us we've taken long breaks from DDR. We, gain a little bit of weight.
A little bit.
Well,
in my case, not quite, but
regardless, you try to get back into something and it can be you just notice you're oh, I used to be able to PFC, Cartoon Heroes or something. And now I can't even, some people I'm sure couldn't full combo some of the 14s or 15s.
Yeah. Things
that they kind of believe that they know they can do.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of unfamiliarity in the game. You're what are all these 15s? What does a 15 mean anymore?
It's overwhelming, the amount of new content in DDR from these people who basically stopped playing DDR around Extreme Supernova.
Yeah.
I mean, there's hundreds of new charts, and a lot of them are very good, but it's just, and especially the ones, I had this issue, and I mentioned it last week on the podcast as well, that learning all the new charts, I mean, there's so many BPM gimmicks and stuff that if you learn them as new versions come out, it's not so bad.
Yeah, exactly.
But then when you look at it as a whole from the past 5 or 6 versions or whatever, or more, you're whoa, what is this? It's a very overwhelming. Destination took me a long time to learn the stops and stuff, but some people may have been playing it so long. Is that 2013? 2014. So maybe not the best example, but Fascination Eternal Love Mix. That came out in Supernova, and I played it a lot, so I know the stops.
Right. You know, the back of your hand. You don't even have to think about it.
Yeah. But somebody who has been out of DDR for a long time comes back and sees that and goes, I don't want to learn that. Or Chaos. Also.
No, I was playing Chaos, and there were people behind me that didn't know about Chaos. And it's the weirdest thing for me is to me, Chaos is just I had to learn it, but I learned it on Supernova home version back when I had a Cobalt Flux and I couldn't go to the arcade all the time. And because it took me so long, it just is permanently ingrained in my memory. I know every stop, I know what to do. But if you're looking at that from the outside, it is bizarre how tricky it is, and how much like you're like, I have to learn all of those stops. When you're thinking about, I have to learn all the stops and all the evolves. Like, how are all the evolves different?
I still haven't played Roppongi C or D. Because
C's not that bad, but D is a wild ride.
Yeah. I think I saw you play it once, and I was like, nope.
Stop.
Yeah, or all the evolves, basically.
Yeah, I mean,
so basically what I've been doing since trying to get back into that is, like, really focusing, like, before I go to the arcade, like, have a few songs in mind of, like, this day I want to do these songs. And so I'll play Destination on Stepmania or watch the video for it, or I would play like New York Evolved, things like that. And so I'd have, a handful of songs that I was like going for, and I would just focus on those rather than being overwhelmed by the amount of everything.
Yeah. I think it's easy to underestimate how much prep probably should go into people's arcade sets, like arcade visits. It's very easy to just show up and pick your favorite songs. Like, I mean, of course, again, I'm coming from a perspective of like trying to improve and everything. And so if you like playing your favorite songs and that's all you want to do, then that's fine. But if you are trying to improve a little bit, like a little bit of homework is usually good, just because it does give you that, like, okay, like these are 5 songs that I want to make sure that I PFC today. Yeah. Or there are 5 songs that I want to like, just at least like full combo to the point, like I nailed the gimmicks, like I just want to make sure, like reinforce that in my brain. And if it means, you pick Osaka type 1 and you pick New York type A or something, like you just like don't overwhelm yourself with like, okay, got to remember what all the differences are. Mm-hmm. You just sort of focus on one of them.
Like, I don't think I could do all 3 Osakas in the same day. Like, if I was trying to PFC them all, I think I would have to do like one a day, knock one out, come back, a couple days later, like, and really like focus on one. Because I feel like I would just get thrown off so bad.
The problem with the evolves is actually like it's even worse than stuff like Destination where you have to learn it, because you get confused with which one's which. If there was only one Osaka, even if it like just type 1, which is the like quote unquote easiest one, if you just learned that, like it would be tricky, it would be hard, but you could learn it. Like the problem I have, and I have notes for this, is like I have to remember like which one is the one that has the 3 jumps at the end? It's type 2. Like, which one is the one that, like, speeds up to 300 right in the intro? That's type 3. Okay, like, I'm saying this now because I've had to look at my notes so much and I've had to play them over and over to get them. But especially when I was starting out, I was just like almost knock one out, then try to forget it. Because, like, it will poorly influence the next one that happens.
Mm-hmm. Your muscle memory gets so, like, set onto one of them.
Yeah. Like, I know New York A way more than I know B or C. And B and C, I don't actually. This is a hot tip. I don't actually remember the difference between B and C. So
they're actually very similar.
They are, and that's why I don't need to know the difference that much.
Yeah.
But A is like radically different, and it also took me way longer to get than B and C.
Yeah.
So like I just memorized that a lot more. But it's just that sort of it's a level of investment that is not just playing the game. I think it's and this is the case with a lot of things. The game is not necessarily only about like your actual, like the actual gameplay of it, like going to the arcade and standing on the pad and picking a song. A lot of it is that the sort of like, we talked about like mental side of things, like making sure you're in a good mental state before you go and play, or doing your homework and writing things down and playing Stepmania. Like all these things contribute to being a good player, but they can be easy to overlook because they're not directly related to the game.
Mm-hmm. It's like going to the arcade is like going to class.
Yeah, like it can be kind of
you're
like...
there, and then doing your homework, playing Stepmania is like doing your homework. Yeah. You're reinforcing these things.
Yeah, exactly.
And then tournaments are tests.
I guess that's a very good analogy, yes.
For all you people who have been to school.
Yes. Well, I think most people have.
But another thing I was working on fairly recently, I haven't played the past week. The air quality, in case people don't know.
Oh, yeah. We're on fire in San Francisco.
Well, just about. Yeah. The air quality here is really bad because there's fires going on up in like Napa and Sonoma and Santa Rosa, which are like 30 miles north of us. So all the smoke is down here in San Francisco and the whole Bay Area, actually.
Yeah, it's very ashy.
The whole state's on fire, basically. It's very bad. But so I haven't really been playing lately. It's bad for your lungs.
Yeah, I'm honestly like nervous about
trying to play DragonForce.
Yeah, especially it's like, oh man, I want to haul ass while the whole state is on fire.
You have to play through the fire and the flames.
Oh, too soon.
But one of the things I was working on kind of in the past few weeks was I had taken a break for a while, like after Endymion was like revealed. And so I was like way behind on my steps for Renon's adventure. So I just went to the arcade and I was like, I'm going to play the whole 13 folder, like including all the difficult charts and all the basic charts.
The one
basic chart.
Which is Endymion.
Oh, no, Valkyrie Dimension.
Really?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
I thought that I almost distinctly remember Endymion being the only basic 13.
I'm pretty sure it's in the folder.
Okay.
We'll have to check it. But I mean, I remember playing it.
I'm fact checking right now.
Yeah. So I just went to the arcade and I was like, I'm just going to play 13s. And it was around the same time that, we'd signed up for this 10K race that I'm going to be doing. And I bought like a Fitbit. I'm trying to lose some weight. So I just kind of wanted to see how much like playing average level songs. Am I right?
It's a 13. Yeah.
It's a 13.
You're
What's
right.
up?
Sorry.
Fuck. I just wanted to see, playing average level songs. I was playing mostly 13s and 14s, maybe a couple 15s. See how many calories I would burn, and it's not as much as I thought.
Yeah, it's really easy because you're holding the bar and stuff.
Yeah, and like I have a pretty minimal play style as it is. Like, not like ITG stamina level, but as far as DDR goes, I don't move a whole lot. And so, I mean, it's basically about 10 calories a song if you're playing like 13s and 14s.
Yeah.
But, again, that's sort of your heart rate plays a big part in that. So like if you are playing harder things, I think it would be a little bit more. But time-wise, it's not as much of a like effective workout as a lot of people think.
It's like high intensity interval training, right? It's
basically, yeah. So I mean, I was at the arcade for 2 hours. I had the machine all to myself. I played like 32 songs, and I burned about 300 calories. And then we go running, and we run 3 miles or whatever.
Half the time.
Not even a quarter of the time, and more, and like 500 calories in 3 miles in about 25 minutes or whatever. Yeah. So like dance games aren't as. I mean, I guess if you play doubles, that probably.
Yeah. If you play doubles, if you play without the bar.
Yeah, or play harder songs. Play doubles. Play hard double songs without the bar.
Yeah.
You'll lose 1,000 calories per song.
Yeah,
you will wither
heard it
away.
here.
Yeah, that's why Oliver is just like 2% body fat.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was working on, and then finally unlocked Endymion. I mean, I haven't even played any of the challenge charts that I unlocked along the way because I was just focusing on 13. So I still have to go back and play Cozy Catastrophe and Neutrino.
Cozy's so pop. Oh my god. Neutrino is also just... Well, Neutrino's mean. I don't like the scoob at the end.
I'm very bad at the Cozy Catastrophe, like the slowdown, the really dense, like 30-second.
The first one?
Yeah, slowdown. So that'll be interesting. I might have to bump up the speed mod to be able to read that. We'll see.
Like 2x?
Was it 360?
180, yeah. 4x on 180. You could do it.
Oh, man. So the fastest thing that I played Pluto Relinquish on
175.
175, which is 700 BPM. And it wasn't too bad, actually. It wasn't as bad as I thought. I think once you get past a certain point, like, it's hard to distinguish between, like, 650 BPM and, like, 700 BPM. I don't know why, and maybe it's just the song, how dense things are, but it wasn't as bad as I was expecting.
I play 888 at 175.
So it's 444.
So 777.
Yeah, that's...
Shit's flying.
Yeah, shit's flying, as Chris would say.
Yeah. I mean... That was, but I mostly memorized the ending and then just used like ones like if I completely memorized the ending, I could play it on like 225 or something, or 25 actually, or 275. What would I do? I don't know. I need to I need to get 888. A couple times I had a PSC going into the ending Skittles.
Oh,
like the very
it's like robotics kind of, isn't it?
But it's not even.
It
speeds up. It's like da 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 da. Yeah, and like I don't know the rhythm. I just kind of mash, and I got 3 greats. So I'm like, great.
Thanks, Duck Amuck.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I was working on that for a while, and then finally unlocked Endymion. Passed it. Not a great score on difficult.
The difficult, yeah.
Yeah, the difficult. I had actually tried the expert before. I played with our friend Tyler. He got his heat meter up, so I played with him, and I got like a 372 or something. So I think I want to AAA the difficult, and then I'll move on to trying to just get us. I can't pass the expert on
Life 4?
on Life 4, but I just want to see how far I could get. So that's kind of where I'm at now. Well, and you spent some time working on a SimFile pack, right?
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. Last week.
You're going to mention it last week, yes.
I was going to mention it last week. Yeah, I was actually... So I had a site read tournament for In the Groove that I hosted in late June, and finally got around... Like, I wanted to make lower difficulties for everything, and Dalton made the graphics for it, which look amazing. And so it was basically just like compiling everything together and getting... making sure all the sync and stuff was right. And then I released it. And that took way longer than I wanted it to. But
did you make doubles charts?
I did not make doubles charts. I don't know. I don't claim to know enough about double to write charts for him. So you probably, I think no chart is better than like, hey, look, there's a doubles chart for it, and then like you just play it and it's awful, and you get mad at me. So I do like double quite a bit. And one thing I was thinking about, I was trying to think of ways to like motivate myself to go to the arcade and play. And one thing I could do is just try to fill out my lamps on double, which is something I kind of started. I have most of the Ace folder done, but yeah,
there's still a lot to go.
One thing that I'm actually nervous about, I don't know, a lot of people might not know this because Ace is like the first EMU's mix that they've played. So typically what happens between mixes is they kind of wipe scores, but they keep lamps. So in a new version, basically you can see that like you perfect full comboed it, but the score's gone. And so you don't actually know like what kind of perfect full combo you got. So that's one thing that's kind of been holding me back a little bit, because I don't want to like fill out all my scores on double and then have them all wiped. Mm-hmm. Like at least with single, I have most of the game MFC'd, which is really strange to say that I MFC'd most of the charts in Ace, like a majority, which is crazy to me.
Because you're over 600, right?
I'm over 600, and there are like 900 something charts.
Wow.
Yeah. So with that, at least like there's the rainbow / white lamp, whatever you want to call it. At least then, if I go into a new version, I know that I've MFC'd it, and I don't need to play it again.
Oh, that's true.
But
you know what your score
is. But with double, I can't MFC stuff like I can on single. And so I keep thinking, like especially a couple months ago, and I was thinking about playing double, I was like, well, I don't want my scores to get wiped because the new version is probably going to be out in a couple months. Mm-hmm. Then Demion came out, I was like, okay, well, we're very close to the end of Ace, like, and now new songs keep coming out. I'm like, well, I guess I should have just played, but I'll wait until the new version, I think, to try out for double. I want to get better at double, mostly like both because it is more physically intense, which is a cool challenge. Like whipping your body from pad to pad is like a cool test of endurance and stamina in a different way. But also it's just like, I think it'll make me a more well-rounded player. Mm-hmm. I don't think it can be argued like against the case that Fefems is so good because he plays so much double. Like his crossover game is on point, and it's because he plays double, I think.
And pump.
Yeah, and that's mostly double.
Yes.
But it's just like, I think in order to like, you can't cheat as much on double. If you cheat a crossover, you might just like
end up completely
like you're totally out of the rhythm of the song. You're messed up. Your placement's just wrong. Mm-hmm. On single, it's a lot easier to notice like, oh, this thing I can easily double step, and like you just kind of reset back to a good point. So I think double, like practicing a lot more double, will help me get better at single as well, which is something that I need if I'm gonna win KSC or something.
I wish you the best.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, KSC's coming up, kind of. For people who weren't following last year, I think it was announced in mid-October-ish, at least that Americans were allowed to enter, I think. And then mid-November, late November, they announced the songs.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And then like December 12th was the start of the qualifying period. Mm-hmm. So that's when they had like they had two folders in the game that were like, KAC 6th, Group A and Group B, and you had to play like all songs in Group A in one set and all songs in Group B in another set, and like you could play them as many times as you want, but like you picked basically when you started your game, you thought about what set you wanted to play and you played those.
So what were the songs last year?
Oh God,
there was
New Century Expert, Astrogazer. Wait, okay, so Group A was New Century Expert, May Challenge.
Well, so that's the thing. You didn't technically have to play the Expert of the Challenge.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry. Yeah, so they announced songs, and they, like, basically they're going to take your highest EX score mm-hmm. for the combined set. So like Group A, they're going to take like if you play the 3 songs, like they'll take your combined EX score and send that up to the server. And if it's better than the one you have on record, they'll replace it.
Yeah. So with one of the songs was Delta Max, and so a lot of people initially started playing Delta Max Challenge.
Yeah, but Expert actually has more EX score available.
Yeah, because it has a lot of holds.
Yes, exactly. I forgot that Delta Max was actually in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was what? The Group B was Go for the Top, Delta Max, and Astrogazer. And Group A was May, New Century, and...
I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Dopamine,
yes, absolutely. So hard songs.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, Astrogazer was the easiest at a 16.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. Like, I'm excited for the qualifying period. I'm so happy that we know now how KAC works. Like, it was kind of unclear. Like, the score is only updated like every 12 hours or something, and that was like, it was a little bit confusing. You'd like play, you'd get a good set, and you look at the web UI, and it's like not what you got, and you're like, wait, did I do something wrong? Like, at least like a lot of the kinks, at least for me, like in terms of like the places that I was like confused or things like that, like they're cleared up for me now, and I can explain them to anyone who's interested.
I'm sure we'll talk more in depth when the new sets of songs are actually released. I mean, we could probably spend a whole episode on that.
Oh yeah, well, we definitely will.
Yeah,
I'm so excited for that.
Do you think they'll have some of the new unlocks as?
Yeah. I don't know if
I mean, like Cozy Catastrophe.
Yeah, I'm expecting, like, it was actually like New Century and Astrogazer were especially Astrogazer was fairly new, I think.
Oh, and that was actually an unlock.
Yeah.
Both of them were. Yeah.
I mean, so it was actually fun because Astrogazer and New Century, because they were extra exclusives at the time. You could not unlock them. They were like, New Century was final stage or extra stage, and Astrogazer might have been the same, but it also might have been just extra stage at that point. And that's like, but it was interesting because they were in the folders. You could play them whenever you wanted. You could play them first stage, and a lot of people did. So it was kind of interesting that like they became like kind of unlocked a little bit for a brief moment, and then they obviously went back to being locked when KAC ended. So yeah, I think they'll probably do something similar where I think Neutrino is probably a good candidate to be one of the KAC songs. It's interesting, though, they picked, like, May and Delta Max, which are from X2.
Yeah, they were kind of old.
Yeah.
And even Go for the Top's X3?
Yeah, but that made a little bit more sense, because at least it's, like, an 18. I mean, May, too, I guess, but, like, I was very surprised to see Delta Max.
Yeah, that was a curveball.
I thought Poochie was going to be one of the songs, for sure.
Oh, man.
Because that was, like, pretty new, very hard. But
16.
Yeah, 16. But maybe they had the data that said like it was just too hard. People would get upset or something. I would be very sad.
Yeah, but I mean that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, it's gonna be really, really exciting. And it should be at JPO again, which is like February 9th and 10th or something.
Which is later than it was last year.
No, it's earlier. It was February 11th and 12th last year.
Oh,
this year.
I thought it was in January for some reason.
No.
Right.
So it's very likely that it will still be in Tokyo at the same place. Though I've heard that in past KACs, they've been in different locations, and that's very possible. It could be somewhere else entirely. But
we shall see.
We'll let everyone know what the deal is when it gets closer, so you guys can tune in live and stuff. It was really, really cool last year. I'm excited.
Everybody should go. I need to get a passport.
Yes, if you come live for KAC if you can. Go to Japan. Holy shit, it is. You've never seen so many Bamani nerds in one area.
Go watch Jeff's, go to Jeff's YouTube at youtube.com/funga.
No, it's Funga. Funga with 2 H's.
Oh, that's right.
Because Funga with 1 was taken.
Yes, and there's a really good...
Trip Machine Evolution.
Well, but your vlog.
Oh, the vlog too, yeah.
The vlog recapping all the friend... It's not tournament focused, it's on the friendship moments with...
which is fun.
Chris and Paul and Hudson and the Japanese players and Korean players. Looked like a lot of fun, so everybody should go. Do you want to move on to some questions?
We can. Okay, I'm going to start with my boy Steve on the East Coast. Said, any recommendations on encouraging text to help maintain DDR paths instead of dismiss the I don't know, comment maybe? The techs in my arcade who cared are gone. So I think this is kind of an interesting thing because people have felt this everywhere, I think, where the machines just like not quite in the perfect shape. This is not exclusive to Ace. This is not exclusive to...
It's not even exclusive to DDR.
Yeah, exactly. It's or any dance game. It's
It applies to every music game.
Like, I play a lot of pinball now, and, like, I avoid places where the machines are not level, or, like, there's a switch that's broken so you can't hit a certain shot. Like, maintenance matters for repeat players, and I think it's easy to overlook that, especially with a game like DDR that has the sort of, like, cult following of, like, everyone knows it to the point that it's like, you're gonna probably get play on a machine that's in, like, for example, Steve plays at Times Square, D&B in New York City. Like, if no one's on that machine, some random tourist is just gonna be like, oh my god, DDR, and let's play, and not really care if the pads are good or bad.
And then probably put in too many credits and not know how to start the game.
Or fail immediately, and, like, you know, like, that's actually getting through people. Like, it's not good for arcades, or, like, the owners of the arcades when everyone's getting extra stage and taking the 90 seconds to pick every song. So my advice would be this. I've had some experience with talking with various arcades, including the Dave & Buster's that I play at in Daly City, and also with Round One in San Jose. We're really, like, it's important to first of all, don't overwhelm employees, because it's very easy to, like, be written off as, like, the naggy, like, entitled like, community where everything's always broken. Like, if I could recommend one thing specifically, like, have, like, a liaison, someone who is dedicated to, like, keeping up a good relationship with arcade owners and techs and stuff, so that they're not overloaded with requests by everyone. It's just one person who's like, hey, how are the machines doing? Oh, well, you know, a couple people have told me that the up arrow is a little bit undersensitive. Do you think we could take a look at it? And really framing it as, like, trying to help everyone. Like, you as the arcade owner, you'll get more people because more people will want to play here, and we as the community will be happier, and we want to come back and keep supporting you. So it's helpful to not try to focus the problem on, like, this thing is bad and I want it fixed right now, and, like, I'm leaving it. Like, no one's going to respond well to that. Yeah.
And it probably helps to know who to ask too. Like, don't just go up to the counter at Round One and bug the person at the cash register.
Yeah, that's true too. Like, I've always tried to start off by like, a couple times at Daly City, I've gone up to the counter at, like, the prize whatever, and I've just said, like, hey, is there a chance you guys could call someone, a tech to the DDR machine? I have a question or something. And they're like, sure. So I go wait by the DDR machine, someone comes over, and I'm like, hey, you know, the machine says it's offline right now, do you think that we could reboot it really quickly? Again, like, trying to use, like, the Wii language, and, you know, let's fix it together, right? So they, you know, flip the machine off and they flip it back on. And, you know, at that point, it's like, oh, hey, how's your day going? You know, like, it's very easy to just, like, sit back and say nothing. But if you kind of, like, get onto a friendly level with them by asking them how their day is, they might say, oh, man, like, there's been so many customers today. And they're like, yeah, it's been crazy in here. Like, just that little, like, those little things matter for when the left arrow is actually misfiring. And it's like, hey, do you think we could take a look at it? And now your concerns are coming more from a place of, like, you have that rapport built up with someone. They trust you, that, like, when you're complaining about something, you're a nice person, so you wouldn't waste their time. So yeah, let's take a look at it. So I would just, like, try to maintain that good rapport. If you can have a community liaison, that's probably a good idea. And really just, like, be respectful of their time and everything. No one wants to, like, if you cross that line into, like, the entitled community, then no one's ever going to help you again. And, you know, you're going to burn that bridge. So it's important to, like, be really extra nice, like, way nicer than you normally would be. It's understandable if they can't get to it in a week. Just, like, be patient, be a little persistent, but not overwhelming.
Yeah. And I think music game players tend to not realize that our games probably don't even make the arcades that much money relative to redemption games. Like, a game of DDR could be 10 minutes easily. Whereas, you know, if somebody's playing a redemption game, you know, they're swiping their card every 30 seconds. You know, at Round One, they have the UFO catchers, the grabber claw machines. And, you know, that's $2. It's 8 credits, I think, which is more than DDR. Yeah,
they do have to give out, like, a physical prize for it, but not all the time, basically. That's the whole point.
Yeah, so, I mean, they're probably, you know, you can swipe every 30 seconds. Like, they're raking in so much more money on those.
Yeah.
Especially when they have 20 of them.
Yeah.
Or 50 or, you know, however many. So try to at least be understanding.
It's not a high priority for any arcade to fix DDR. And so, like, you really have to be, like, humble about it.
Mm-hmm. don't be entitled.
Yeah.
Which applies to a lot of things.
Yeah, but especially if you want someone to do something for it. Like especially with the corporations, quote unquote, like Dave and Buster's knows that if you're like not going to play there, you're probably not going to play. Like there's no Ace. Like you can't buy Ace yourself. You can't go to the local arcade where you have like, you know, more of a local community. Like something like Chinatown Fair would be a good example of like it's not a chain, it's just one arcade.
And those small community arcades have more of that community aspect to them.
Yeah.
Versus these sort of big.
Exactly. So you have to realize that you're working with a big chain and make sure you step in the right places, both figuratively and literally to nice. Navigate around the issue.
So we have another question here from Daniel E on Twitter. He says 2-part questions for all the panelists. Good, because there's 2 of us. And I think we talked about this before, but we can touch on it a little bit deeper. Do you use fast-slow option? And if so, how much do you rely on it when trying to time steps?
You want to start, Dalton?
Sure. I do use it. First, let's talk about what the fast-slow option actually is.
Sure.
Because I think some people may not know about it or know even how to turn it on. So it's part of the EMU's basic course subscription, which you have to enable on the Japanese Konami portal website.
Yeah.
Which is a hassle, and you can only pay using Pacelli, which is Konami's sort of
e-payment currency. Yeah.
And so you have to jump through a bunch of hoops to be able to buy Pacelli. There's guides on it on
DDR ITG players. If you don't know how to do it and you're interested in setting it up, just hit me up on Twitter, funga_, and I'll help you out.
Yeah, there's guides on I think there's one on Bamani style.
Some of them are a little outdated. One of the things, again, by having tap as more of an audio thing, I want to make a video tutorial about doing all this setup and make it current, because there are some changes.
Yes. But anyways, so you have to jump through all these hoops, and then you can enable this option to turn on fast slow, which tells you if you step early, it says that you're fast. If you step late, it says you're slow.
For non-Marvelous judgments. Yes. Marvelous just says you're marvelous.
Yes. So I do use it. I set it up when we first got Ace, and even after you stop paying for the basic course subscription, which is like 321 yen a month or something.
Yeah.
$3 or basically.
You have to buy it in $10 increments, but yeah.
Yeah, but even after that expires, it stays active on your account. You can also activate the darkest screen filter, so that's another reason to do this.
Darkest screen filter you can do anytime. It's the arrow or the arrows above, like in front of the combo.
Yeah, so
those are the 2 options. It's like you enable fast slow, and also if your combo is in the foreground or the background in comparison to the arrows.
Yeah.
And so it's usually helpful to put the combo in the background, because otherwise the combo obscures the arrows.
Especially for slowdowns, was a big problem for me. So yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like I pay like very specific attention to it when I'm actually playing. It might just be sort of subconscious. And for really hard songs, I don't think it helps all that much, because there's, so much going on that it's hard to pay attention to it. But if you're trying to like Marvelous attack something, and especially if the song is off sync, which the result screen helps with as well. Yeah. So when you get to the result screen, it shows how many of your non-Marvelous steps were early or late, so fast or slow. So you can use that information to determine, oh, wow, this song is more off sync this way or that way.
Or I step generally early or something. A lot of people I've noticed just like step early in general.
Yeah.
And, if you see that you have 57 fasts and 1 slow, then you have like either the song's off sync or you are. Yeah. Either way, you need to step later.
Yes.
So
it helps you, and it's kind of more of the homework thing again, that you can take that information and apply it to, if you play the song again, you can be, I need to step earlier this time, and keep that in mind while you're playing. But I don't know that I really it's hard to pay attention to it all that much, because there's so many other things going on, but I think it definitely does help. Some people have said that it hurts, like it's distracting for them, and that's But I would say at least give it a shot, and stick with it for a bit. Like at first, it may be distracting or whatever, but like with adapting to anything takes a little bit of time. So stick with it for a little bit, and over time it may help.
Yeah, I would highly recommend it. I've used it since I was in Japan, like in 2013. I've like kept it active on my account whenever I can. It is insanely helpful. It is one of the only reasons I have good MA. It's because I'm able to adjust like at a moment's notice. Like, I mean, it is a little bit of a reaction time thing, but like as soon as I see that I have a slow, I'm like, okay, like I'm basically shifting my whole global offset, like my brain offset, like a little bit earlier, so that I'm not slow anymore. And like Dalton said, you can figure out about sync and stuff like that. You know, kind of identify weaknesses. Like if you have a stream coming up and you get a lot of fasts, you can be like, okay, I'm rushing it. Like I got to slow down a little bit. All those things are going to pay off in the long term. I understand people are a little bit hesitant. Like they think it's a little distracting. I can't imagine being a top player and not using it. It's kind of like the bar. Like people are initially like, especially if you just try to use the bar, like you're like, it's not helping me too much. It's, you know, I'm not getting as good scores with it. It's awkward. And then, but like, imagine trying to win KSC without the bar.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not going to happen. And I think fast slow is to a lesser extent, like it's not as extreme as using the bar versus not. But I think you would struggle to like get MFCs on some of the harder songs in the game if you don't use it. Because it just helps you hone your timing. You just know more about, it's more information. I've talked a lot about how I don't use Pacemaker, and that's because it's not actually giving me any new information. It's comparing me to my rivals, other things, which actually doesn't have any influence on the score. But your fast slow absolutely does have an influence on your score. Like it helps you adjust mid song, which is exactly what you need.
Yeah, Pacemaker distracts me.
Yes,
it makes me think too much.
Yeah, exactly. It's more getting in your own head than it is. Like it's like a lot of times people are just like, oh, like I want fewer things on the screen. Like so I don't use fast slow, I don't use Pacemaker, blah blah blah. But there's a difference with fast slow where it's actually actively helping you in a way that Pacemaker doesn't.
Do you have another question?
I can find one. Why don't you go?
Well, I got some here.
Okay.
Ben Madsen asked, do you feel like you're ready for a new DDR to be announced, or do you want more time with only Ace?
Yeah, I think I mentioned this at some point, either in a previous tap or in like a group chat or something, but I was like, I'm not ready for a new mix. Like as soon as I started hearing that like there were rumors of new things, I was like, I have so much more to do. And I don't feel it's a lot of it is because all of us are playing catch up. Like if I had PFC'd a lot of these songs, I actually did. Like in 2013, I got 3 months of playing DDR on EMUs. And so I was already like way ahead of the game compared to a lot of other people. And I still don't feel like I'm that done. Like I can only imagine how a lot of other people feel where they're like, you know, I only get to play once a week or once every 2 weeks or something. And there's so much more of the game to explore. So yeah, it's kind of like it doesn't really hurt necessarily, like for a new mix to come out. Yes, there are a few more songs, but you can usually try to keep up with those. Like, I think the goal is to always like play a few more songs than are ever released. And DDR is, quote unquote, lucky to like not get that many songs released. I think it would be a better problem if there were too many songs.
But at the same time, it's always nice to have the new and shiny thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not going to say like, oh, like it was a few months ago, maybe earlier in the year, I definitely felt like I'm not done with Ace. But as long as they keep making new versions and like the support keeps coming and they don't like cut too many songs and stuff, then I'm perfectly happy with a new mix coming out. But it's a really, really good question. It's kind of tempting to say like, I don't feel done yet, but I don't think I'm ever going to feel done.
Yeah.
So why not just let a new thing come out and play with the new shiny stuff?
Yep. I think that's a good way to approach it.
I will find a question. Thank you again for asking us your questions.
Yes,
all of you.
We slacked off this week and we forgot to ask questions or solicit questions ahead of time. So we did the speed round and asked right before we went live here.
Okay. Drano on Twitter has a good question. He has two questions. I'll go with this one first. What in-game feature do you think the game needs the most? E.g., the ability to adjust offset or other options like that. So yeah, comparing DDR to a lot of other modern Bamani games, for example, like 2DX lets you change the your offset for a given song. So you can kind of like, if you like prefer to play earlier or later, you kind of just leave a setting on that's like, yeah, I just kind of prefer this. And you can make adjustments on individual songs if you need to, but you kind of have like your preference. I think that would be really, really nice in DDR. Because I would be abusing that a lot of like, okay, the song's early, and I know I probably have an even more comprehensive note stock than I do now of basically like for every song, what mod, like what timing mod do I put it on?
And I'm sure people would create lists online of like, hey, here's recommended,
Yeah,
offsets. I don't know if people on 2DX do that.
probably. Yeah. I don't know if there's a lot more community, especially because it's one of the biggest games in Japan.
Another thing with that 2DX does is the Dawn system.
Oh yeah, that'd be really cool.
Which would be really cool in DDR. Basically, some sort of ranking of getting certain scores on certain songs or passing certain songs.
Yeah, it's basically like for the Dawn system in 2DX is like a class system. Like you can rank up, quote unquote, by like passing certain predefined sets.
Mm-hmm.
And the hardest one is Kaiden, which is like a legendary thing for 2DX players, and it really gives 2DX players something to strive for.
And then it gives you a framework of like explaining to other people what skill level you're at.
At a quick glance, you're like, in 2DX, I'm 8th dan.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of know what I can pass.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas in DDR, you can say like, but even DDR with like the life bar is kind of different than 2DX. Like 2DX is a lot harder in that regard. So, but you could say like, I passed, if 10th Dan was like 4 18s or whatever, and you had to AAA them all.
Yeah.
Like, and if somebody said, hey, I'm 10th Dan, like, that they're a good player.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
it's cool that context and also the thing to strive for.
Yeah, it really gives you something specific to work toward.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool.
And Sound Voltics has the same thing. They have Infinite Dawn is basically Kaiden, I think.
Yeah. I don't like Pump's leveling up system as much because it's basically just however much you play.
Yeah, I mean, DDR used to have this with Enjoy Level.
Yeah,
it was in X3 in 2013. It was just like you ranked up based on how much you played. It did give you bonus points for playing things you've never played before and playing stuff on mods for some reason.
Yeah, but I think a skill-based ranking system would be a lot cooler.
I would actually like Enjoy Level as well. Enjoy Level was kind of just fun. Like, you didn't have to do anything for it.
Yeah.
And just kind of gave you a rough estimate. Like, if you played with someone, their Enjoy Level was like 100, you kind of knew that they played like fairly often. And, it was kind of like, sometimes it was kind of like a race, like how much can you play and how much can you get that score? It's just like, it's one of those things they took away and nothing replaced it. That I was kind of like, was it really that much work to like have it in the game?
Yeah. And comparing DDR to other music games, I was talking to my partner about this because I tried to show them Endymion, and because I was like, listen to this very cool song, but at the time it was just the game rip audio, and they were like, I can't deal with this song. There's too much cheering, and the announcer's like, so I think that would be cool. That's on our wish list of having an option to turn off announcer or cheering.
I was like, where is he going with this? Yes, turn off announcer. I was like, you want them to put Endymion online for download? Like, okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, because like DDR is the only Bomani game really of like the main series that have an announcer or have cheering, anything
during the game. Yeah,
anything other than the music of the song.
Well, it's a little bit different. DDR is also not key sounded, where a lot of other games are. So,
that's true.
Like, because the whole thing about 2DX and Poppin' is like you're kind of like making the music
and Sound Voltics.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess like the cheering and stuff is like because you're like making the music, you're not like experiencing it. But like DDR is like the music's already there, and there's like they want to make you feel like there's a crowd around you. Yeah. There's usually already a crowd around me, and I'd like if they go away, please. Yeah. Stop watching me. Stop Snapchatting. It's annoying. Also, this is just a real quick question about from Drano again about has anyone tried foam modding the pads on the new cabs that came in a few weeks ago? Any second opinions on pad quality or still too soon? Just as an FYI, I'm going to be foam modding round 1 San Jose's pads soon. Talk to the management there and going to get that done hopefully like next week or the week after. So I think I haven't played on them yet, but and neither has Dalton, right?
Nope.
So we don't have much opinions. I think I think Chris just posted that he MFC'd Zephyranthes.
Oh yeah,
and he did it on the new Uniana caps. If Chris can MFC Zephyranthes, you can probably play the game. Yeah, I'm sure they're fine.
Do we got another one?
Yeah. Let me find one. So this is Henry Lee on Twitter, says, to a person who doesn't play with bars and doesn't minimize steps, is there any advice to improve on holding the bars and minimizing steps? So basically, I guess if you're trying to break into sort of the form of a top level player. Like, what do you do? For the bar, it's important to just start using it. And even like we touched on this a little bit earlier, but even if you don't feel like you are good at it, or like your arms hurt, or it's kind of awkward to have them behind you while you're playing, it will become better over time. You can try to use a towel or other things if it makes it easier. I put a towel on the back of the bar when I play it.
So do I.
So, and like minimizing steps, I would go to our YouTube, look at the advanced techniques video, because we do outline a little bit about the like the actual pad layout. And to suffice it to say, the inside, like basically the inside sensor is what you're going to want to hit. So there's 4 sensors in each arrow. There's one closest to the center panel. You're going to want to hit that one. So that's like when you're minimizing steps, you're really trying to not go too far into the center of the panel where it's actually the least sensitive. Mm-hmm. And you want to hit very much on the inside edge, so you're exerting the least amount of energy possible. Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it is just trying to be critical of your play form and going back to earlier or easier songs.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to adjust your play style on like 16s, I don't know what your play level is, but go back and play like 10s and 11s.
Yeah, you definitely want to like scale it back and remember your fundamentals, because the more you play harder stuff, the more you're going to flail. Mm-hmm. And this is true for anyone. Even I flail more when I play Paranoia Revolution or something. You really need to like focus and get the fundamentals down and then apply that to harder and harder stuff. Mm-hmm. So very good point. And
with most things, just play more, but play critically.
Yeah, you really want to be introspecting your play. And like if you have a camera, put the camera next to the pad, point it there, and then afterwards just see, like if you're thinking about it the entire song and be like, okay, step it towards the center, analyze your playstyle afterwards. Did you go too far out? Could you have used only your heel for the down arrow?
Yeah.
Like if you're ever hitting your toe on the down arrow, you're probably doing something wrong in terms of if you're trying to really minimize your steps. So that sort of analysis post play can really help out.
So I think that's it for questions this week. We can move on to set of the week.
Yes.
So first, before we move on to our new recommendations, we want to shout out some people from our set last week who were tweeting their photos at us.
At SF_evolve on Twitter. Please send us your sets.
And people started using the hashtag tap set of the week.
Yep.
So Oliver played on doubles.
Telperion, yep.
So that was an interesting take. And we didn't clarify it last week, but so we mentioned specific difficulties for the songs. But, if you're not quite at that level yet, feel free to play them on easier difficulties. If you play it on difficult or basic, whatever you're most comfortable with, whatever you want to have the most fun with. You don't have to play Top the Charts Challenge if you're not comfortable with shock arrows. Those are just kind of like our initial recommendations, but do whatever is most fun for you. Telperion played on double, which was sort of a fun twist on it. Brittany, who actually I know from Fresno. I've known Brittany for it feels like 20 years, like literally since I was like 10 years old probably. Played with Rod, who's another player from Fresno, who I knew before I moved here. So they tweeted their photos at us. Rod, PFC'd Dreamin' and Kashasa.
Whatever.
Thanks, Roger. And bonus, Cleopatrism,
right?
Anyway.
Japan.
Yes, that. PFC'd that on Extra Stage, which was not one of the songs, but that's a good score too. So shout out to him. We had another one from CJ Ong GG on Twitter and a whole bunch of other people. Those are the ones I'm seeing right now.
I think we'll try to keep shouting out people in future episodes. So definitely send us your sets. Use the hashtag #TapSet of the week. And let us know what you think of the suggestions. Because these are just our recommendations, but it's kind of to help you, break into some new songs and new charts and stuff that you might find fun and get a lot of fun out of your next arcade visit.
Yep. Oh, there's one from Mark White who didn't get Kachaka in his set, but then got it immediately after. So good PFC there. And Henry Lee, who asked a question previously, played. Nice. Man, there's a lot of people.
Yeah. I hope this takes off. A lot of people said they were excited about it.
It's awesome seeing all these scores. Clarence Cobwebs, nice Twitter, spooky Twitter names.
Very, very spooky.
And Daniel E., who also asked a question earlier, submitted his scores as well. So lots of people. So it's fun to get in and see what other people are doing. So let us know. So why don't you kick us off this week? So Jeff didn't get to...
I didn't get to pick a song last week. So I'm picking 2 this week because we have 3 songs and 2 people.
So we'll go 1, 1, 1.
1, 1. Yeah, sure. Okay. So my first song, this is an oldie but a goodie. Celebrate Night Euro Trance style.
Oh.
So picking this for a couple reasons. First of all, song's a banger. Second of all, it actually has a lot of foot switches in it. And that's not something that I noticed until very, very late on in my dance game career.
Do you think they were intentional?
Some of them feel like they have to be. They flow really, really well. Maybe they're not, but like, and this is back in like 2001, for 2002, foot switches weren't a thing yet, but it's actually one of the songs I think about when I'm recommending like foot switch learning stuff, because surprisingly, like it's pretty slow. And a lot of it's on the down arrow.
It's like 140, right?
Yeah, it's like 140 or 145 or something. And yeah, so it was such a good song and a great chart, and can help you like kind of learn a new technique as well. So I think that's my first. Unfortunately, we just talked about how you're allowed to do them on any difficulty. Unfortunately, it's locked on challenge, so you have to play it on challenge. But it's like a 10 or something. So
yeah,
hopefully
it's worth it.
Yeah,
cool. I'm gonna go with something a little bit newer.
Ooh.
Which is Ayakashi Kakushi?
Ayakashi Kakushi. There you go.
Yes. Which is the like 85 BPM DJ Toto song.
Yes.
I'm going to make a graphic this week. We're learning.
We're still figuring this out.
I'm going to make a graphic this week that we'll post to the Twitter that has the song jackets for the songs of the week to make them easier for people to find. But Ayakashi Kakushi is a 14. It's a hard 14.
It is a hard 14.
It's got like over 600 steps, I think.
Yeah. But
it's very fun. I avoided it. The reason kind of why I'm recommending it is because I avoided it for a long time. Because I was like, oh, it's slow. It's 85 BPM. I don't want to play it. Like, so I think I'd played it like once when Ace first came out, then forgot about it, and then I like rediscovered it again. And I had it stuck in my head for a month.
It's a banger.
Requirements for all these songs is bangers.
Yes.
Including Kachaka.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it's 14, lots of sort of 16th note runs with like some 30 seconds thrown in, some jumps and things.
You could also play it on the 11 on difficult. Very fun, let me tell you.
Oh, I haven't played that one.
I enjoy that chart a lot. I
forgot to mention earlier when I was playing through the 13s, sick difficult.
Yes, it's very fun.
It's also very fun.
Some Daily City players used to play that all the time. I would watch them and be like, it looks like a lot of fun.
Yes, so just in general, maybe experiment with playing some easier difficulties on things.
Yes, absolutely. I'm a big advocate of playing, like, there's a lot of gems that people overlook because it's like, it's not the green or purple difficulty.
Yeah.
And the red one's actually really good. Yeah. And sometimes the yellow one's even better. Good? So my third one?
Yeah, I think that just about covers it.
Okay, so my third one is, we're going to have to make it graphic because we're naming a bunch in Japanese. But this one, again, we're going back to new, is Kiken na kajitsu. Which is, it's the 173 BPM song from 2013. Sounds like a rock song. It's the female vocals. It's got like a girl on the beach on the jacket.
Jeff is doing a on the beach pose.
It's kind of like she kind of looks like a starfish a little bit. She's like no, she's not like laying down on the beach. She's like
jumping
kind of thing. And it is just a really, really good song. And the chart's fun too, but I just love the song so much. And it's actually, the ending is like, it's got kind of like a death run type thing.
So what difficulty is it?
It's a 13 on expert.
Okay.
But insanely fun. I don't hear people talk about it or play it ever. Mm-hmm. And I actually ignored it for a long time. And then I actually listened to the song. I was like, oh my God, this song's amazing. There's a full version. Listen to that like crazy. I still do. And it's just like, it's like a feel good song. It's like, it reminds me a lot of like the old Be For You. Kind of like rock, like breakdown, like just like gets me pumped up, gets me amped up. So that's my second recommendation, third song, and you can ask me. I'll like type them out and stuff so people know what to look for.
Yeah, we'll post it on the Twitter account, and it should be in the show notes too.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps. So that covers it for set of the week. Send us your scores at SF_evolved on Twitter.
Also post on our Facebook.
Yeah,
post,
whatever way you want to.
Yeah, we're not picky.
We don't discriminate.
Yeah, but we do check Twitter more than anything else.
Yes, It's more interactive fun.
Yes.
So really quick, we'll just go over tournaments again in case people missed last week. There's one coming up at Dave & Buster's in Houston, Texas on Wednesday, November 1st. You can find that on Facebook. There's the GWOC 2. I didn't even realize the acronym last time. Game Underground Arcade Championship 2, which is in Natick, Massachusetts, near Boston. And that's November 10th through the 12th. It's going to have DDR 2014 plus a bunch of other music games. That's up on ddrcommunity.com. You can check it out there. And then for the Bay Area players, in case you haven't heard, there's going to be a tournament at Round 1, San Jose, on November 11th. And so we have 2 machines again. So hopefully that tournament will go quite smoothly.
There's also a tournament on October 21st at the Glendale, Arizona Dave & Buster's. It's called Spooktacular Moves, DDR Ace.
Ooh, Halloween themed.
Yes, it's got Electronic Retreat on the event page on Facebook. So yeah, if you're in the Arizona area, definitely check that out. And if you have any more tournament stuff, you can feel free to hit us up. We'll try to shout out the future stuff that's happening on the next show. And if you're local and you want to hang out with some players, meet some new friends, get a few rivals, and see how well you place, I would highly recommend entering any or all of these tournaments. I guess you can't do all because some of them are landing on the same day, but whatever.
I believe that's it.
What else? Is that it? Oh, there's also a Pump It Up tournament in San Jose coming up in preparation for US Pump Festival. It is on October 14th. Oh, actually, that's in 2 days. So this Saturday. So if this episode comes out on Friday, it's probably tomorrow. That's at Round 1 San Jose, Prime 2 tournament. Pump it up.
I think that's it for this week on the Aero panel with this reduced cast. It's not really a panel. It's more of a duo.
It is. Right now we are a duo, but we'll be back up to panel status next week, I believe.
Yeah, and we're going to be like sort of rotating in hosts, if one of us can't make it. So I know you guys love us, but hopefully we'll be able to hear some different voices and different opinions.
Yep.
Different takes on things from other people here. And maybe in the future we'll try to figure out how to Skype people in or Discord people in, I guess.
Yeah, that'd be really fun.
Yeah, get people from all around the country rather than just people here in the Bay. So that could potentially be on the horizon.
Yeah, look out for that.
And as always, thanks for listening, and thank you for playing.